What's an unfun fact? Around 1.5 million people die from TB annually, which is a disease consistently treatable by antibiotics in almost all cases. Fatal familial insomnia exists. It's a rare, incurable prionic brain disease that progressively destroys your brain's ability to sleep. Eventually you stop sleeping altogether, go insane, have seizures, and die. Prions are scary, no cure/treatment, and mostly deadly, but they're rare at least. If they became somehow common like a rhinovirus, humans would almost be wiped out. Brush-tail possums are coprophagic, eat their own shit. They need their food to go through their digestive system twice to get all the nutrients. They are nocturnal, so spend the night eating eucalyptus and other plant leaves and flowers. During the day, they curl up into a little ball with their mouths closed to their bums and eat the soft poo as it comes out in. Then while they're out at night, they poo out hard, long pellets of poo, having absorbed all the nutrients. Only 1 in every 1,000 sea turtles born ever make it to adulthood. To add to this, saving baby turtles at the beach does less, almost nothing, for conservation compared to protecting adult turtles in the ocean. Depends on what you find as fun, but King Henry VIII exploded in his coffin while the grave was being dug. The mess was cleared up by stray dogs. Buildup of gases in his body, I'm assuming? Correct. Dead people can get goosebumps. The first responder to die in 911 was killed by someone jumping out of the building and landing on them. The youngest person to ever give birth was a Peruvian girl, Lina Medina, who gave birth to a child in 1939 at age 5. She had precocious puberty and had her first period at age 8 months. She may have been raped at an indigenous religious festival where such things are known to occur. The man who raped her was never found, and she was silent about how she got pregnant. The delivery was by cesarean as vaginal delivery was deemed impossible. Her son was told that he was her little brother, and she also treated him in this manner. Unsurprisingly, she was an incompetent parent, preferring to play with dolls rather than tend to the baby, but that's to be expected. The case is well documented in medical journals, including photos of her pregnant body. It is also in the Guinness Book. She later married, had another son, went to work for the physician who delivered her, and lived a quite normal life. The son was healthy, but died young at age 40. She has refused all efforts to speak of the case, including offers of significant sums of money. Her family has also refused to discuss the case. As of 2008, she was still alive at age 69 and living in a slum in Lima, Peru. If she is still alive, she would be 87 years old. A human tooth has 36 calories. What the duck? Suicide bombers are a lot easier to identify post-mortem than you'd expect. This is because the blast from the suicide belt hits the base of the head in such a way that the head pops off like a cork. Investigators therefore have a relatively intact head to ID. Edit. Thanks for the gold, kind stranger. In response to speculation in the comments, I'd like to say that I'm not a veteran, a forensics expert, or a gore site editor, and I have not witnessed this in person. Although I have seen a couple of photos, I'm just a true crime guy who looked into the forensics after the St. Petersburg and Manchester bombings in 2017. My original source was a quote by journalist Jobby Warwick. People who handle cockroaches develop allergies to them. This usually prevents them from drinking pre-ground coffee because of the cockroaches that get grounded in with the large batches. Male cats have spines on their penises that rake the walls of a female's vagina to trigger ovulation and to hold the female in place while mating. When a male bee drone ejaculates, its testicles explode and the drone dies. It is literally a one-shot wonder. This is also a drone bee's only job. The males are literally slaves only used for breeding. And when autumn comes and the hive hibernates, all the drones are forced out of the hive to die in the cold. That brain-eating amobas exist at all. and is also pretty commonly found in freshwater ponds and lakes. Apparently only 4 people have survived getting it in the last 50 years. I have a friend that got LASIK eye surgery, and then 2 months after she started getting eye pain and was losing her vision. Somehow, a flesh-eating amoeba got into her eye via the eye flap left over from the surgery and started eating her cornea. She was in serious pain and eventually lost all sight. Seems like they managed to kill off the amoeba, and then she got a cornea transplant. Shit was crazy. Edit. Curiosity got the better of me after literally 20k plus upvotes and a gazillion comments of her being stupid for not following protocol. So I double checked with her. She said she'd been invited to go lazy river kayaking, just a few blow up kayaks and light drinking on a slow river, too. 5 months after her surgery, had called her surgeon to ask if it was safe, and he said she should be fine as normally the outer layer heals after 5ish weeks, and to just be safe. Nothing harrowing happened on the kayak trip. She tried her best to not actually let her head go underwater, but she had been splashed in the face a few times and that had to have been it. She was just extremely unlucky and found out that at some point after the surgery the flap hadn't settled in the perfectly correct position and there was the tiniest opening. It wasn't her fault, nor the surgeon's fault. Just an incredibly unlucky experience, and she often catches herself reminiscing, what if I'd never gotten the surgery in the first place? But she clarified that her experience was super rare and tons of people get successful LASIK and should still consider it if they wanted to. Sea otters kill and rape baby seals. Not always in that order. Seagulls are also known to eat baby seals' eyeballs. Whales don't die of old age. Eventually they just don't have the strength to resurface and slowly drown. Maybe if they didn't ejaculate 40 gallons at a time they could live longer. Parvovirus can infect dogs and cats at any particular age and kill them pretty efficiently. It's especially good at doing this with puppies. There's no cure and no antiviral, just boosters and hydration forth you can give them. When a dog comes home healthy from the recovery from a parvo infection, they're contagious for 2 weeks, and if they pee, poop or vomit anywhere at all, including dog parks, that freaking virus is able to survive for up to a year, including in 100+ degree weather. Parvovirus sucks. Deep sea octopus babies take 5+ years to hatch, while mama octopus never leaves the nest to feed and dies when the babies hatch. She doesn't eat for 5+ years. Edit. Oh my, this really blew up. Many of you pointed out the source already. It is from Radiolab Optimum episode. I highly recommend. At least she has her mate's detached penis to play with. Squirrels will eat baby birds and horses will eat baby chicks if given the chance. Pandas will eat mice and other small animals on a regular basis. Most, if not almost all, species of animals will eat other animals for a multitude of reasons. Tapeworms can grow up to 32 feet inside of you, and they eat half of what you eat. People used to consume them on purpose to lose weight. Edit. Was not expecting so many worm comments. Dolphins in captivity usually commit suicide by suffocating themselves. Famous example, Flipper. It gets worse, they do this by consciously deciding to not breathe until they die. It's less pressing a pillow against your own face, and more holding your breath so hard it kills you, and you are awake and aware the entire time. They get so bored and desperate they would rather die than live as a entertainment slave. In my opinion, it is the best example of a non-human entity demonstrating free will. Scuba divers can experience a sudden change in pressure when swimming near pipes and will get sucked inside. Doesn't matter the size of the hole. It's called delta P. Worst part? Someone else usually has to go inside the pipe to remove the body. The video of the crab being sucked into the tiny crack in the pipe comes to mind when I read this. There are only 2 states in the US that have outlawed child marriage. One of them only just put it into law a few weeks ago. 23 states don't even have an age limit on marriage. When preparing a body for an open casket, the mortician will sew the person's jaw shut to keep their mouth from flopping open and place special contact lenses on the eyes lined with hooks. both to keep the eyelid from snapping open due to shrinking tissues, and to give the eye a bit more natural bulge, as the eye tends to sink into the socket after death. My father is a mortician who now works for a university, but during his time as a funeral director, he embalmed some brothers who were in a terrible accident. This was a few years ago, when I was in high school. They had been run over by a car, exposing their skulls. The family wanted an open casket, so my dad had to make them look as presentable as he could. He said that he had to fill the skulls with something hard because, yeah, he managed to make them look good and the family was happy. It's an art. A lot of it involves makeup and craftsmanship to make someone look like they're sleeping, so as not to freak out the family. It's definitely not a profession for the faint of heart. As a nurse, I've encountered many stillborn babies that I had to get creative to make them presentable for the parents to see, hold and give a heartfelt goodbye. One time my nurse coworker came to me distraught because she just attended a C/section for a term stillbirth in which the physician had a difficult time delivering. The baby's head was essentially crushed from delivery and brain matter was spilling out. It was a bad scene and my coworker needed help making the baby look presentable for the parents. I just did what had to be done using tape and rolled cotton pontoons. To get the baby's face to look normal, I swaddled the little baby as best I could and cautioned the nurse not to let the parents unswaddle the baby. They had the most precious time saying goodbye to their baby. Someone took pictures and they turned out beautiful. I was so sick to my stomach knowing that I had just pieced their baby back together, but stood alongside smiling with the family about how beautiful he was. This is the PTSD shit nurses go through. I never talked it out, just went home and was grumpy with my family and sucked down a bottle of wine. Whenever anyone asks what I do and I tell them that I'm a labor and delivery nurse, I just hear back about how lucky I am to work in such a great area. They have no idea. Thanks for letting me share. An octopus will literally rip its own penis off and throw it at a female and the female ducks herself with said penis. Who said romance is dead? You may have heard that South Koreans have a superstition called fan death, where if you keep a fan on too long it will kill you. The history of its origins is much darker. When people committed suicide and the coroner had to determine cause of death, they would say it was death by fan. This is to save the face of the family and not cause them shame. It eventually became a superstition and one that Westerners find funny. There could be some planets swimming in the deep space without suns and even without galaxies, and you can't even see stars from their surface. Absolute darkness. As dead bodies decay, they burp or release gases. For this reason, caskets and mausoleums need to be ventilated so that the gas can escape. Every unborn baby grows a mustache in the womb, which then spreads to cover the entire body. The baby then eats the entire hair called lanugo and excretes it after birth with their first bowel movement, which is a substance called meconium. Female ducks get raped so frequently that they have a second decoy vagina that they can offer to intruders, so they don't get pregnant by the duck they don't want to get pregnant by. There are at least 8 nuclear weapons known to be missing. Edit. Just woke up to this. Thank you for the awards. And thank you for wishing me a happy cake day. How the hell do you lose a nuke? The Zodiac Killer cold been numerous court times, if not for San Francisco police / dispatch incompetence. Anyone can have a brain aneurysm at any age, no matter your health situation. Cockroaches stab their mates with their barbed insect dicks and come in the lady cockroach wound. There's a species of river dolphin and there are less than 10 in the world. Everyone loves river dolphins. There are a lot of bug parts that we eat in our food without knowing. Just getting those extra nutrients I don't have to pay for. When the gas chambers were first assembled and experimented with at the Auschwitz concentration camp, the SS soldiers that oversaw the process found that the people inside would start screaming as soon as the gas agent was dropped in. The screaming was so loud that it could be heard through the thick walls of the building, and the victims would continue screaming over the course of 20 minutes until it gradually faded to nothing. The screaming disturbed the soldiers, believe it or not. So they tried to think of a way to drown out the noise so they didn't have to hear it. Their idea was to get 2 motorcycles and rev the engines as loudly as they could at the same time during those 20 minutes. It didn't work. There is a whale called 52 Blue that only sings at that frequency, meaning it can't communicate with other whales. It is nicknamed the loneliest whale on the planet. There's a theory that the whale is either deaf or a hybrid species of 2 different kinds of whale, making a song that is in between those 2. This is a terrible thread to go through before bed. Piper Perry, the girl on the couch with 5 black guys behind her meme, came home from a shoot one night to find that her boyfriend had shaken her toddler to death. You have a higher chance of dying on the way to get a lottery ticket than actually winning. Molinim finding Nemo should really turn into a woman and Nemo becomes the husband. That's what happens when the female dies. The most common last words that are said before dying is typically something doesn't feel right or something is wrong, of course, followed by a severe heart attack / stroke / whatever. Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good. Apostrophe. My best friend's last words were I feel faint as his aorta burst. Whales can ejaculate 40 gallons of semen at a time. Most of it doesn't make it in. Edit. Had a whale come equals sea salty. That must be what impregnated my mom and that's why I look like this. After experiencing the symptoms of rabies there is no going back. You are dying 100%. Your nipples are older than your teeth. Your lips are made of the same skin as your anus. Do you have lips on your ass? Or an anus for a mouth? Dolphins like to rape. A lot. It takes longer to say www than it does to say World Wide Web. One day the last person who knows your name will die, and you will be forgotten. You could still be alive when this happens. That everyone can perceive me and have their own unique mental image of who I am, and that none of them, even my personal one, are wholly completely accurate. The most unfun part is that it can happen to you, too. The sun is becoming hotter, and in about 1 billion years, the oceans will boil off, and our atmosphere will be unable to sustain any form of life. There are more tigers held in captivity in the USA than in the wild across the world. Bunnies eat their own poop regularly, often directly from their ass. Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.